The McBee Dynasty. Real American Cowboys matriarch Kristi McBee is finally revealing her side of the story of how Galina Solkowska and Stephen McBee Sr.'s affair led to the downfall of her marriage. While opening up to a producer during Season 2, Episode 6, Kristi explained that she and Steve had been married for 28 years when she started finding out there was a lot of infidelity. She also described feeling angry with Galina because she allegedly slept with Steve for years and years while they were still married. That's when Kristi took viewers back to the beginning, recalling how Galina had a little side cleaning business, and her then-husband hired her to clean their marital home. And then he brought her on with the other companies. She added of the McBee Farm and Cattle Co.'s current CFO. But I was also naive. Kristi was also working in Kansas City during the week, but would still spend the weekends with Steve on the family farm in Gallatin, Missouri. We may have had marriage issues, but we were never separated, she clarified. Then I found out everything that developed between them. I was blown away, so I filed for divorce. While noting that she'll never be able to really cut ties with Steve, the mom noted that her ex's actions had profoundly impacted their 4 sons, Stephen McBee Jr., Jesse McBee, Cole McBee, and Braden McBee. Galina Solkowska opens up about her affair with Stephen McBee Sr. Earlier in the August 4 episode, Stephen Jr. said that Kristi still harbored a lot of anger and resentment toward Galina, referring to his employee as the mistress that effectively ended her marriage. While having lunch with Galina, he further admitted that it was hard for him to watch his father hurt his mother and now her amid his new relationship with Masha. It was worse for Kristi, Galina replied, highlighting his parents' 28 years of marriage. I can't even imagine. In a confessional, Galina owned up to her part in their marital split, adding, "A few times I thought that this situation between me and Masha is karma. I absolutely hurt Kristi. She was his wife." During a heart-to-heart with his mother later on, Stephen revealed that Galina hoped to have a face-to-face meeting with her, now that she sees what Dad does and how he is in relationships. She has so much respect for you and wants to talk to you at some point and just apologize for being the cause of the divorce, or at least the final factor in it. Inside Kristi McBee and Galina Solkowska's one-on-one dinner meeting. Despite some initial reluctance, Kristi texted Galina and invited her to have dinner days later. Her motive, she explained, was less about clearing the air regarding her marriage ending and more about protecting her sons amid an FBI investigation and the family businesses facing possible financial ruin. When Galina mentioned that she was the other woman in their marriage, Kristi replied, "That cut deep. It was an oak." As the CFO continued by saying she saw things in a new light now and wanted to apologize and share her side of the story. However, Kristi shut her down. "You don't have to tell me your side of the story," she responded. "All the drama with Masha and with you, it's affecting the boys a lot, and that's not oak. That's evil to me. That's malicious." Opening up about how she was worried about Stephen Jr.'s mental state, Kristi told Galina that she actually needed her help. "If I could ask one thing of you, try to pull yourself together. They need you, and I think that will help you too," the matriarch continued, denouncing the way Galina was allowing personal issues to negatively impact her work. "You need to focus on yourself. I just need you to show your strengths right now, or you have to walk away. I hope I've made that very clear." Galina, for her part, claimed to see Kristi's point and agreed to set aside her relationship drama and focus on the businesses for the McBee boys' sake. Kristi McBee's face. She sat opposite the producer, a woman with kind eyes and a notepad, ready to unpack years of suppressed pain. The camera, an unblinking eye, was fixed on her, ready to capture every nuance of her story for the McBee Dynasty, Real American Cowboys. Kristi took a deep breath, the air thick with unspoken history. 28 years, she began, her voice steady. "That's how long Stephen and I were married. when I started finding out there was a lot of infidelity. A flicker of something, anger, sorrow, betrayal, crossed her features. I was angry with Galina too. She slept with Steve for years and years while we were still married. The producer nodded, jotting notes. Kristi's gaze drifted, lost in the labyrinth of memory. Galina, she continued, she had a little side-cleaning business. Steve hired her to clean our marital home. A bitter laugh escaped her, and then he brought her on with the other companies. McBee Farm and Cattle Co.'s current CFO, no less, but I was also naive. Kristi recalled her life back then, a delicate balance of career and family. I was working in Kansas City during the week, but I'd still spend the weekends with Steve on the family farm in Gallatin, Missouri. She paused, emphasizing her next words. We may have had marriage issues, but we were never separated. Then, I found out everything that developed between them. I was blown away, so I filed for divorce. The raw honesty in her voice was palpable. Despite the deep wounds, Kristi acknowledged an unbreakable tie. I'll never be able to really cut ties with Steve, she admitted, the weight of their shared history settling between them. His actions profoundly impacted our 4 sons, Stephen Jr., Jesse, Cole, and Braden. The pain wasn't just hers, it was a legacy passed down. Meanwhile, in another part of Gallatin, the fallout continued. Stephen Jr. sat across from Galina Solkowska at a quiet lunch spot. The tension was thick, a silent acknowledgement of the awkward truths that bound them. Stephen Jr. had been honest with Galina earlier, referring to her as the mistress that effectively ended her marriage. Now, he spoke of his father's new relationship with Masha. It's hard for me to watch my father hurt my mother, and now, you. Galina, her usual composure wavering, looked down at her hands. It was worse for Kristi, she replied, her voice soft, almost a whisper. I can't even imagine. The weight of her past actions pressed down on her. In a separate confessional, Galina unburdened herself, her voice laced with regret. A few times I thought that this situation between me and Masha is karma. I absolutely hurt Kristi. She was his wife. The admission hung in the air, a stark confession of culpability. Later, Stephen Jr. had a heart-to-heart with his mother. He carefully broached the topic of Galina. Now that she sees what Dad does and how he is in relationships, he explained, she has so much respect for you and wants to talk to you at some point and just apologize for being the cause of the divorce, or at least the final factor in it. Kristi's initial reaction was a mix of reluctance and a lifetime of hurt, but a deeper, more pressing concern began to surface. The family businesses were reeling, an FBI investigation looming, threatening financial ruin. Her sons, caught in the crossfire, were her priority. Days later, driven by this protective instinct, Kristi texted Galina, inviting her to dinner. Her motive was clear, less about rehashing the past, more about safeguarding her boys and their future. The restaurant buzzed with the low murmur of conversations, but at Kristi and Galina's table, an almost palpable silence hung in the air. Galina, her hands clasped tightly on the table, was the first to speak. I was the other woman in your marriage, she began, the words a difficult confession. Kristi's eyes, usually warm, hardened. That cut deep. It was an oak. The brevity of her response conveyed years of pain. Galina pressed on, her voice earnest. She spoke of seeing things in a new light, of wanting to apologize, to share her side of the story. But Kristi cut her off, a firm hand raised, not in anger, but in resolute dismissal. You don't have to tell me your side of the story, Kristi stated, her voice calm but unwavering. All the drama with Masha and with you, it's affecting the boys a lot, you know, and that's not oak. That's evil to me. That's malicious. Kristi's focus was singular. She revealed her deep worry for Stephen Jr.'s mental state, the strain of the family's crumbling empire taking its toll. If I could ask one thing of you, try to pull yourself together. They need you, and I think that will help you too, the matriarch continued, her voice gaining a steely edge. She wasn't asking for friendship, but for a professional commitment. You need to focus on yourself. I just need you to show your strengths right now, or you have to walk away. I hope I've made that very clear." The words hung in the air, a stark ultimatum. Galena, for her part, seemed to grasp the gravity of Kristi's plea. The personal drama, the lingering resentment, all of it had to be set aside. The McBee boys, their future, and the survival of the businesses were paramount. She nodded, her gaze meeting Kristi's, a silent promise to pull herself together and focus on the task at hand. The dinner wasn't a reconciliation, but a truce forged in the crucible of shared responsibility and a profound love for the sons they both, in their own ways, sought to protect. The past remained, a painful shadow, but for the sake of the future, a fragile alliance had been formed.